I'm Mark Dresner, and this is the Research Insider, a special interview series featuring experts and leaders at the forefront of market research and consumer insights. The Research Insider is brought to you by the Market Research Event, the largest and most comprehensive conference in the world dedicated to elevating the business value of insights. Joining us today are Al Nevarez. He's a senior manager of business analytics, and Sally Sadosky. She's the group manager of marketing research for LinkedIn. Welcome to the program, both of you.
Thank you.
It's great to have you. Sally, why don't we start with you? How has the field of market research changed with the introduction of big analytics, big data, I should say?
Yeah, there's actually been quite a lot of changes, and all for the positive. At LinkedIn, because we're able to look at the behaviors of the members, we're able to do a lot more research in advance, just looking at behaviors, looking at trends, testing hypotheses. So that when we go out and we actually talk to members, either through quantitative surveys or qualitative methods, we can really focus our questions. We've already fully analyzed what we know to be facts, so we don't have to spend time asking them what they do. We know. So now we can just spend all of our time on the whys. Our surveys tend to be a lot shorter, which is great for response rates and completion rates. And our in-depth interviews tend to be a lot more focused as well, because we can kind of say, hey, we noticed that you do this, tell us why.
Right.
Or tell us, this, we've seen that you're looking for a job. What's that all about? And so we can kind of get right into the meat of the matter and all of the strategy that we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah. Well, along these lines, how have you had to adjust your practice to accommodate?
Yeah, it's all for the positive. We very proactively reached out to Al and to his team, who are fantastic partners. It's all a partnership. We know statistics, we know market research, we know how to ask questions, we know how to interpret results. We don't know SQL as well. We don't know unstructured data as well. And so we partner with Al, who brings all of that very complicated data and tables that we're just not used to working with together. So then you create the story. So the practice has really been more partnering. I don't necessarily hire those skills into my team, because I still need good analysts. I still need good people that can write questions. I still need excellent ethnographers and sociologists on my team.
Yeah.
So that stays the same. What has changed is the partnership, and we can ask a lot more complex questions, and we can probe a lot deeper into the strategy and the questions that we have before actually going out and talking to our members.
Excellent, excellent. Sort of related to that, Al, what does a market research team need in terms of, really skills and resources in order to take advantage of the big data opportunity?
Yeah, I think it's, it starts with a healthy, inquisitive, imaginative mind, like a lot of things. But at the end of the day, we like to look at, there's this Venn diagram of skills that I like that refers to software skills, coding, kind of little hacking kind of skills. There's the math skills, and then there's the business skills. And when we're hiring, for example, we look for folks that complete all three, right? And some people say that if you only have two of those, it's kind of dangerous, right? If you're the hacker with the business, but you don't know the math and the statistics, you can come to erroneous conclusions, for example. So it's critical for us to hire folks that are passionate about all three, and that can come from many disciplines. We've had a surgeon on our team. Folks, of course, from statistics, operations research, software engineers, that kind of thing. The field of data science is attracting a lot of interesting attention. So if you're good with the numbers, enjoy the numbers, but also have a business sense, those kind of things work well together. And at the end of the day, it's about being comfortable with all kinds of data, right? So we have 400 million members on LinkedIn, so that's large and it's a lot of data. But at the end of the day, we don't collect 400 million survey records. That data is smaller, but it's about being creative and understanding the technology well enough that you can bring the little data and the big data together to help make big decisions.
Outstanding. How do you integrate market research and big data at LinkedIn, then, if you could tell me about that?
Sure. Well, at the end of the day, the data comes from, the survey data, for example, comes from a survey vendor in a structured kind of format. And our approach has been, because at the end of the day, LinkedIn's very private about their data, right? So we don't share a lot of data with the vendor and do a lot of reporting outside on cloud type of software. We like to bring a lot of it in-house and do all the analysis and the tools internally, just out of respect for our members and privacy and so forth. So what we do is we work through the vendor's API, pull the raw data in, and then we avail it to all the benefits of our big data architecture. Starting with our IT team. Rather than us being a burden and waiting in line for the IT team to free up their time, we make it as easy as possible for them. And that starts with putting the raw data into Hadoop and big data platform. Super simple for them. They don't have to worry about the structure of the data. They don't have to care that we've got 35 questions on our survey and, we're going to add another one next week and remove one the following week. All these are typically, in a traditional data warehouse sense, customer experience, market research professionals had to deal with this with their IT team, and it's a slow process and not a lot of fun. So what we allowed to happen with partnering with our data warehouse team is, don't worry about the structure, just store the data in Hadoop, and then downstream we'll take care of querying exactly what we need. And so we have the data scientists, and what we're finding is that this big data technology is getting easier and easier to use. So you can literally write like an SQL query to query out of Hadoop, basically. And so we build a process that takes that data from Hadoop into our relational database, like a Teradata, for example. And by combining all this survey research with our members' information, we're democratizing the data internally to LinkedIn, of course, so that other staff can now make value from this information. So they want to understand what's customer satisfaction or dissatisfaction with certain parts of the product. As long as you have access to the data and you know a little SQL in the company, you can actually start making value from this, and we're trying to empower that. So that's a bit about how we've helped market research's data become kind of more generally useful in the company.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Sally, can I ask you one last question?
Sure.
How do you have any thoughts or tips for other market researchers at other companies that are interested in working and collaborating and partnering more closely with the big data and the data science and analytics aspects of the organization, if those aspects exist?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a scavenger hunt at the beginning, because the data scientists are scattered throughout the company, at least in LinkedIn, and they don't report into marketing, which is where I sit.
Right.
And so while Al's team is now supporting marketing, he's not in our group. And so you have to kind of create those relationships because he has other requests from other areas of the company, and so it becomes a bit of a priority. I focus on small wins, so we've been using Al and his team to help with some pretty complicated driver analysis and on a few of our satisfaction surveys, and that tells a really good story jointly. I mean, so we're really jointly storytelling, and that gets people asking for more. So then I can go back and say, well, can we have a dedicated resource? Can we hire more people in these? Can we get 20 hours instead of 5 hours? And so we're kind of just making the inroads right now.
Yeah.
But it has to be a very proactive thing, because I don't think in many companies, and I could be wrong, but in many companies they're still considered very separate disciplines with very separate approaches. Working with Al and his team, we're not. We think about the same thing. We think about member empathy. We think about telling the stories of our members. It's just now we have a lot of facts because we know what's happening.
Right.
And now we have a lot of opinions. We know a lot of the whys, and we're able to put those together in a very seamless way that actually tells really good member stories.
Yeah.
So I think, though, it's being very proactive and being somewhat persistent and geting those small wins.
Excellent
And I would
points.
also add, for companies that would love to have that kind of dedicated advanced data analytics team, the way LinkedIn started is very interesting. We used to have a product analytics, a data science team to help with the product. And then this thing called business analytics, where I work, emerged. And these were data scientists who were motivated to help sales and marketing become very efficient. Their whole goal was, let's bring a lot of leverage for our thousands of salespeople with data tools and so forth. And therefore, they built a few products that were incredibly successful, help our salespeople bring the value to prospects and so forth very clearly, very efficiently. And that kind of, those kind of projects built a momentum and a leverage that helped a team like mine grow. And therefore, now we're here to support marketing and sales, and it allows us to even have this relationship. Yeah, so it's an interesting aspect to look at if you're thinking about a data science team. Think about how that team can really drive the bottom line for the company, and then that'll help that team thrive and grow and be able to support all these other organizations.
Right, right. Excellent insights. Yeah. Congratulations to you both, and thanks for sharing with us today.
You're welcome. Yeah. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure to have you. And that concludes this episode of the Research Insider. If you'd like to learn more about the Market Research event, the world's largest and most comprehensive conference dedicated to elevating the business value of insights, visit us online at www.themarketresearchevent.com. Until next time, I'm Mark Dresner, and you've just heard the Insight Scoop.